What's up, everybody? The sun is finally out. It is gorgeous. It has not been that way for the last several days. We've had a bunch of rain. Today, this morning, just a few hours ago, it was pouring down rain here. Where we're staying, there is standing water. I don't know if you can really see that or not. Right behind the rig. And, well, it has not been optimal for what we really need to get done, and that is some RV service. Our rig is a year and a half old now, and there's just some things that need to happen. We put a lot of miles on this, and well, we're going to bring you guys along to show you guys what we're doing, and you can tell me if you would do it the same way or if you have a better way of doing it. I know certain ways of doing things, and that's how I feel comfortable doing it, I guess, but maybe they're not the right way. Maybe you can tell me a better, faster, easier way that I could get the same results and save some time. I do a lot of my own service because I like to save the money side of it, and I feel like I trust myself sometimes more than I might would trust a service or a tech or somebody that I don't know working on the RV or even my truck for that matter. I've had my fair share of poor experiences and that caliber of things. Courtney is here setting up our deck because, as you know, we have been boondocking here, and now that the sun is out and things are warming back up, we're going to open up the back doors to get a little airflow.
Yep, nice out.
I kind of interrupted her. She's actually in the middle of filming some other stuff for like Instagram, Facebook. If you're not following us on those platforms, I'll leave a link down in the description so you can just hop over there and follow us there too if you want. But with that being said, I think it's time to make our run to the auto parts store, get the materials we need, and maybe at least get started. I don't know if we'll really have the time to get much done today. We may have to do an early morning start tomorrow, because we're going to be ticking on our time today. It's already like 5 in the afternoon, and we're at this point, I feel like we're just trying to harness the little bit of day that we have left. Just harness it, because it has been tough. Speaking of that bad weather, yesterday we actually had to evacuate the RV because we had tornado warnings. Luckily, we weren't terribly far from the ATC factory, and since they actually have a tornado shelter in the factory, we went over there and took shelter there because, well, we didn't really have anywhere else to go because we're boondocking right beside a field, and you don't want to be in an RV in a tornado if you can avoid it. There were 100-mile-an-hour straight line winds. I've seen some aftermath videos the last day or so from areas that really weren't that far from where we are, and well, needless to say, I'm glad we weren't in the RV. Everything turned out fine, the RV's okay, but I wouldn't want to be in an RV with 100-mile-an-hour straight line winds if I can actually avoid it in some way. I am going to run in here to the good old O'Reilly Auto Parts, get the rest of the things that I need, and then we're headed back to the RV. Day 2. We had to clean up my toolbox and stuff before I could even get started on my projects, which was a project in and of itself. You get a lot of stuff in a big toolbox, and I haven't used it very often, so it was kind of a mess. I had to dig out tools that I needed anyway. So now we're actually on to the projects, which...
First up is what?
First up is to at least get these bearings and brake pads changed on this side. I don't know how the weather's going to hold up. You can see it's super cloudy. We have some rain coming tonight. I don't know if I'll get all 6 hubs done today. The plan in an ideal world is to get them all done today, which means I won't get the other projects done, but that's okay. If I can at least get one of these projects completed from start to finish, that would be great. We had some running around to do this morning, and so I didn't get as early of a start as I wanted. Would you like to make any comments?
I'm ready to cheer you on.
I just hand her the tools and now hold the camera.
It would be a good idea. Not a good idea.
Not a good idea? I like that idea. I really got to get the right socket for this. Well, don't have the right tools for the job, as expected. You see, I've got this here socket, and it's not the right one for my lug nuts. While it might work, it's not the right one. And on the ones that it doesn't work, it messes them up. And then I have to chisel the lug nut cover thingy off to get the lug nut off. Anyway, it's a pain. So I got all these tires loose, but I didn't get the other ones on the other side loose, because I really need a socket like this that fits on this, but I don't have one. So I'm gonna have to go buy one at some point. I think trailers should come with their own lug nut.
Like cars do.
Yep. It's sitting. The brake pads don't look bad. Honestly, don't even know if I need to change them, but. So we put these brakes on last year, May, so a little over a year ago. And we put them on when we were on our way to Alaska. We were at a campground in Gunnison, Colorado. And honestly, this is my that was my second install of these brakes. We actually put these brakes on our last RV as well. And they're fantastic brakes. And they're super easy to service, as you're about to see at some point in this video. If I was just doing a brake job, I have 2 bolts and the pads come out, but I'm actually going to be doing a whole hub and everything.
So I just want to say from my personal experience, because I don't drive or haul the RV, if I needed to I could, but I don't. But sitting in the passenger seat, I can tell a humongous difference from when we had drum brakes on versus now when we have the DeeMaxx disc brakes on. The best way I can describe it is that the brakes almost pull us down and back towards the road instead of feeling the weight behind us pushing us forward every time we're stopping. That's just my feeling on it, and I love them. It makes me feel so much more comfortable, especially with our family in tow, having these brakes on our RV. And when you're switching from, say, a drum setup to hydraulic disc setup, it cuts your stopping distance substantially, which eliminates the pushing feeling during sudden stops and drastically reduces driver fatigue on long travel days. Also, side note, the link is down in the description as well. You can go check it out for yourself. Hugh, are you less fatigued with these disc brakes? Are you less fatigued?
Yeah, I'd say so. I do say, from a driver's perspective, the disc brakes stop way faster than a drum brake setup. It's not that the drum brakes don't work, it's that these are just faster. So your stopping distances are shorted. So like in those tight pinches where maybe traffic quickly stops in front of you or whatever, or a curve sneaks up on you and you got to jack the brakes, it's going to kind of stop you all as like a whole unit. You don't get that. I know sometimes when we had drum brakes, I would feel, in both trailers, I would feel that push and lift on the back of the truck before the brakes really kind of started working properly, I guess. And I don't get that here. These grab really well, just from driver's perspective.
And I will say that we have had, this is our second RV. First RV was also 45 feet, and when we first got it, it had drums. We switched it to DeeMaxx. Disc brakes, huge difference, loved them. And then when we got this trailer, it had drums on it as well. We rode that for a little while, and then we've switched. So we have had drums, DeeMaxx disc brakes, and then drums again, and then this. So we've had a good variation of testing different brakes out, different trailers, hauling wise and stuff like that, and we prefer to have the discs on here. One more thing.
Disc brakes actually have fewer parts, so fail is a lot, there's a lot less fail points in them than, say, a drum brake. With drum brakes, you have a bunch of springs and electromagnets and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of little things that if a small spring breaks and gets loose inside the drum, your pads won't expand, or your shoes and the drums won't expand like they should. And there's just more fail points in a drum system than there is compared to a disc system. So I like that a little bit better. And the serviceability is way easier. And if I had all my tools together, I would have already showed you guys this. I got my wrench with one wrench.
He's got a wrench, folks. He's got a wrench.
So to put it short, with a drum brake, you actually do have to pull the whole hub off to service the shoes inside. You have to pull off your center bolt or your center nut, your bearings. You have to pull all that stuff out just to put new shoes on it. And if I wasn't servicing the bearings and I was literally just doing the brakes, I could pull out 2 bolts with this wrench, put some new brake pads on it, bolt it back up together, be back on the road. I am doing a bearing service as well, so I am actually pulling the disc hub off. So I can't really say that this is a faster service in this specific situation because I am doing a full service.
Well, you heard it from the man himself, so he's gonna get working. I'm gonna be here encouraging.
So what I was mentioning about serviceability is I literally pulled these 2 bolts out and the caliper comes off, and then I can just easily pull out my brake pads, which these honestly don't even really need to be replaced, but I've got new ones, and since I'm taking it off to do the service, I'm gonna go ahead and put them on. These are like ceramic pads, I think, so they do hold up a lot longer. Now this is a cool one, which you can opt for it or not. This is actually a stainless steel caliper and bracket. Now the drum hub is not stainless. They do have a stainless version for like boats and stuff, but we stop a lot of weight and it gets heated a lot. So this is a better option for us with what we do. But with the stainless caliper, I don't have to worry about overtime rust building up on the caliper itself. The caliper is going to far outlast the drum hub in terms of lifespan because it'll never rust. I don't have to worry about that. So that's a really cool option that they do offer.
You did notice you're wearing gloves today.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing. I love wearing gloves when I'm doing bearing work because it's so messy. So there's actually 2 ways that I could grease these bearings. The easy way, which is not really what I personally like to do because I've done it that way, and I had some old timers give me some information, and I don't know about you guys, but old timers, they generally carry some wise information. Some old timers once told me if you use the Easy Lube system on the axles that you'll blow the seals out the back. Well, I didn't listen years ago, and I did that, and well, I blew the seals out the back. And if the seals blow out the back, especially with drum brakes, all of that grease starts blowing out the back seal, gets in the drum, and well, ruins your brakes. Your brakes won't stop when there's grease between the pad and the drum. Let me show you the Easy Lube. On these Dexter axles, the Easy Lube axles, they have a Zerk fitting, grease fitting right here on the end of the axle, and it can be accessed with the tire on. You pull the cap off, this little rubber piece right here on the caps, you pull that off and it goes right to there, and you lift the trailer, and according to Dexter, you're supposed to spin the tire or the hub if you have the tire off, spin it and use a hand pump grease gun to pump grease in here, and right here on the back it flows through this and out of this, and it forces the grease through the rear bearing, through the hub, and out the front bearing. So it pushes all the old grease out the front. And according to Dexter, you're supposed to do it until you see fresh grease flow out the front of the bearing. Well, I've done this. Not only does it take a significant amount of grease, it takes like a whole tube of grease per hub, but it ends up overfilling the hubs with grease. And then once they get hot driving down the road, that grease expands and starts pushing out everywhere that it can. And one of those places is it has the potential of blowing out the rear seal and again forcing all of that grease into your drum. Or in my case, it would blow out the back of the disc and just kind of make a mess inside the fender well and probably on my disc as well. The cleanest and probably the better way of doing it would be to just simply pull out the bearings, hand pack them, and put them back in, which is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you real quick how I do it. And you might have a better way, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. So on the side of the road one time, I actually greased this a little different than what I'm actually doing. I'm actually going to be replacing the bearings altogether since I have it apart. But I have in the past, in a roadside situation, there is a small gap in there, and I don't know if y'all can really see it that well in the camera or not, but I have taken the grease gun. Here, hold this. I've actually taken the grease gun and put it in there and filled the crack with grease, and then actually taken this bearing and pulled up on that grease and forced it through. It took me a while to do it because I had to squeeze it through, push it down, fill it up, pull it, squeeze it through, push it down, fill it up, pull it, squeeze it through, push it down several times to force grease through the bearing. And it worked, and it's worked fine since I've done that. But the right way to do it is really to pull this seal out. This is a seal puller. There are other ways of doing it. It's probably the easier way. And then pulling the bearing out, cleaning it very well, and then repacking the bearing. I'm not going to clean and repack this bearing, but you can see that I was definitely due. The grease in it is darker. So we're actually just going to slap some new bearings in it. I've got all new bearings I'm putting in. I'm going to wipe all of this old out of here, get this dirt out of here, get it real good and clean. And once I do that, we'll be right back and I'll show you how I pack the bearings. Well, this is unfortunate. We weren't supposed to have rain until tonight, and it's looking like it's going to be here within the hour. And I have quite the mess. I'm glad I didn't take all of it apart. So we're at least going to get this one put back on for the sake of this video and for the sake of, well, I got to put all these tools up. They've got to go somewhere, whether they go in the back seat of my truck, back in the toolbox. It's all got to get put up. So I've got to hurry up with this.
I think you have enough time.
There's two ways that I can do this. This is a bearing packer, which is what I'm going to use. So we'll just take this bearing, slap it right inside this bearing packer. And there's a few different styles of these. If you look them up on like Amazon or whatever, like you can find them. You just stick it on there. And then I can take my grease gun right here. And then my grease gun is a little worn out. If you have a good grease gun with a good end on it, it'll hold up. But this grease gun has done a lot of greasing in its day, so it's probably due for a new end. Eventually, it'll start coming out of those cracks. I hear the thunder rumbling. This is not good. This is what I was trying to avoid. I literally looked at the weather before I started this today, and it was not supposed to rain until tonight, like after dark. Courtney wasn't holding that camera. I'd be making her hold this. See, that's a good, it's forced through the whole bearing there. And then once we pull it out, we'll be able to kind of coat it all, but it's all pushed into the bearing itself here. This is easier and slightly cleaner and a little less aggravating than the alternative method. And then I'm gonna just take this off. Oh geez, this rain, this rain, this rain. See, it just kind of like fills it from the inside and pushes it to the outside. And then I'll take some of this. I'm just gonna, what I like to do is I just like to rub it inside the bearing race there. Good and greasy. And this is why you use gloves. And I like to just kind of put some extra grease around that pack there. Gloves, napkins are a necessity with this. Preferably do it on a not raining day like I decided apparently to do it on. Now this is a little more controversial here because they actually do make a tool for this, but I don't have one. So now I've done this a dozen different ways. One way is you can do this with an actual seal tool that sits over this and you whack it and it knocks it in. Me, sometimes I just like to do things the hard way. So I just kind of work my way around. Until it's flush all the way around. Put a little grease on this. A little fresh grease over there. Now I gotta grease this bearing, which I'll grease a different way just to show you guys another option. That if I were somewhere and didn't have this thing, how I would do it. Like if I didn't have a grease gun and a bearing packer and I just had like a tub of grease, in this case a tube, I just get a big old wad of that out, scrape it off right there in your hand, and then essentially you just take this and then you want to do it with the open, like I would do it with the open side is the proper way to do it. And you just go around and you slowly cram it and eventually it'll come out this top edge. And it is a timely process. Your hands will, my hands start cramping up after a while. And you just kind of work your way around the bearing. Maybe sing a song to yourself while you're doing it, I don't know. And then you'll see that, you see it starting to kind of squeeze out of that crack. You'll see right here in a second. There it goes. And you just kind of do that all the way around the bearing until the bearing is full of grease, which honestly, doing it right here on camera may even been slightly faster than the bearing packer. It's not as clean of a process. And there's other bearing packers. There's these ones that you can like stick it in and push down and it forces all the grease through. I bought that one because it was pretty compact. Didn't really take up a bunch of space in the toolbox. So there's definitely other methods and more than what I can even show you in this video. But there's your three ways of really packing the bearings. Bearing packer, by hand, or with the Easy Lube set up on the axles. It's going over straight out of my greasy palms. Right in there. All right, got me some clean gloves on. These are the most important pieces of the wheel because, well, the nut that I'm about to put on is actually what keeps the wheel from falling off. And this, I'll just slide on there like that. And their nut. I like to use a big pair of channel locks for this part. You want it really good and tight, but you don't want to leave it that way. You want to get as tight as you can, because that's what kind of gets everything seated in there. If I left this that tight, my bearings would fail within a very short amount of time. I can't guarantee how long they'd last. Maybe 100 miles, maybe less, maybe more, but they would definitely fail. Proper way to do it is to tighten it up as tight as you can kind of get it, and then you want to come back just a bit. That's still tight enough that I can't get it off. It's not gonna overpress the bearing. And this thing here snaps over top of it. That keeps that nut from backing off. I can take this too, but I don't know if I don't need it with that. Reinstall. I like to use this like plastic. It's like a plasticky rubber dead blow hammer. It's got like sand or lead or something in it.
Beads.
And you don't have to hit very hard. If you hit it too hard, you'll crush it. But you can kind of see it slightly deformed from the last time I put it on. Just gotta be careful with it, not hit too hard.
Well, now it is starting to rain.
Weather did not hold out like it was supposed to. This is not part of the plan, you guys.
No.
Not part of the plan. I've got just like, I've got a ton of stuff out. Now it's like really raining. Pretty much sums up today. The rain is here. You saw we obviously got everything packed up, and what I did, you probably saw me, I actually put the lug studs or the lug nuts back on the lug studs just to hopefully prevent some rainwater from getting on them, causing them to rust up or anything like that. Metal rusts really fast as soon as rain gets on it. So I just kind of did that and just leaned the tires up to try and deflect some water from some of that stuff while it's all taken apart. And now we wait for this rain to pass so that we can finish, because this was not the plan. It just goes to show you, sometimes things just don't go to plan, and you just got to roll with the punches, as they call it. We've got a lot coming to the channel, new ideas every day. If you have some ideas of things you want to see, maybe there's something we're not covering enough of on the channel and you want to see more of that type of stuff, drop your recommendations down in the comments below, because we want to hear those things. We want to know what you guys want to see. We want to put out content that you guys enjoy watching. But if you want us to give you like maybe some videos on tips, things that we do, and or places that we go when we're at places, let us know in the comments. If you want to see more of places that we visit while we're at places, let us know. I got to get the deck put up on the RV. I could leave it out, but I have no idea how much rain's about to happen, so I'm just going to put it up. Okay, so I'm going to walk you guys real quick how I like to do this part. So these bolts originally have like a blue Loctite on them, on the threads. So when you put them in the first time, it kind of engages it. Well, it's only good for that one time. So I like to put fresh Loctite on it, because the stainless on stainless, with all the vibration and everything else, can back itself out, and you don't want your caliper bolt backing out. Another thing that I like to do is put this lubricant, and it comes with the pads. Put this lubricant on here. It kind of helps it glide on the bolt a little more, so that the caliper doesn't stick. So I tend to just do the lubricant part first, and then naturally this caliper will not go over because it's already extended some. So I take the old pad, which, by the way, I would just like to mention, I really did not have to change these pads out. These things, they've probably got I don't know, 15,000 miles on them, maybe less or maybe more. Yeah, probably about 15,000, 16,000 miles on them. And they are in really good shape, actually. This is a new one sitting right next to it. And you can tell that it's only worn down maybe 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. Not much. I'm actually probably just going to keep these old pads just in case for some reason I need them along the way. I'll stick them in a box in the pass-through. Now, to get the caliper compressed, I like to just use a big old C-clamp. And you kind of got to give yourself space because there's not a whole lot of it in here. What I do is I gotta get that caliper to compress, so I'll just slowly tighten this down and compress that caliper, force the fluid out of it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and load in the new. See, that grease in there made that slick trying to fall out. And then these clips were actually a little more flared out, and it was a little stiff trying to get it in there. So I bent them in just a smidge so that I could get them in there, and they still snap in place good. And this one here just snaps on. There we go. And then, oh, almost forgot. I've got my thread locker here. I'm just gonna put, oh no, I don't wanna do that. Just gonna put a little bit of this on the threads. Slide the caliper on. That's it. Tighten them up real good. And that's how I do these. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead, get the other side done, and then we're gonna be back with our final project. At least I think it's gonna be our final project because I'm running out of time to get all this stuff done. May end up just having to roll some of it over to the next spot. All this rain has really messed up our schedule. We have more coming tomorrow. So I really got to especially get these done because I don't want to do them at the next place. We have so much dirt. So I got the other side wrapped up. And I'm going to be honest with you. It took me a couple hours, maybe. It went way faster than this side because I just didn't film it, as you saw. And that's why I didn't film it, so that I could just focus on knocking it out, because we were supposed to have some rain this evening around now, and it looks like it has passed. So for that, I'm glad it passed. But I did want to touch on something. Y'all saw me using these mega jalopy pliers. And the reason I was using those is because I couldn't find these. So I do have a small pair. I just wanted to let you guys know that I don't always use like 16-inch pliers, 20-inch pliers, but I do have two pairs of them. I usually use these. They bite the bolt a little easier. They kind of get in it a little easier too. They were in the bottom of a toolbox in this one, and I didn't even realize they were there. They were there from the last time I did stuff on the bearings. And well, I guess you live and you learn. And you learn to use really big pliers when necessary. I gotta go get cleaned up. I've got to get all these tools put away for the evening. Got one more project, maybe two in the morning. Well guys, the plan was to wake up today, get some more projects done, and unfortunately the weather is not cooperating. It's already starting to sprinkle, and I just don't want to be doing the projects that I still have to get done in the rain. So if you want to see what those projects are, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because they will probably be on the next vlog, amongst other things. We've got a lot more coming. We're going to be hitting the road, traveling across country. Well, across country from where we are, at least. Real soon, headed to Pennsylvania, headed to the Hershey RV show. And then, who knows where we're going to go. With that being said, I've got a Uno game to catch. We will see you guys on the next one.